as always. So very excited. Everyone, welcome to AWAD Visits. We are visiting the Collect Art Fair today. My name is Susan J. Mumford. I'm the founder and CEO of the Association of Women Art Dealers, and I am here to give a really quick introduction, and then I'll be handing straight over to the moderator for the conversation. In today's dialogue, we have with us Daniela Wells, and she is with the Collect Art Fair. She is going to be leading us through the journey. This really is a fabulous insight into the fair before it even began. So we think about how online or offline are different, and this is a great example of seeing how online gives us insight into a fair that you might not be able to visit otherwise, or maybe you are visiting, and so you'll be able to see today insights from two of the exhibitors. One of them is one of AWAD's founding members, Cynthia Corbett. So it is really exciting to have Cynthia representing both the Cynthia Corbett Gallery and also the Young Masters Art Prize that she also founded at the show. And then we also have Runa Kalanathu, and she is the founder of Roop and Form, a more recent member, but I think actually probably as long as a year now that you've been with AWAD. And Roop and Form will also be at the fair, and you'll be seeing insights from Runa's stand there. I always really do love to highlight where you can find everyone after this conversation, or even during the conversation. I'll give you those. Andrea from AWAD will also be sharing some links and social handles into the chat room. If you want to say this was an amazing conversation and anyone who can needs to visit the art fair, be sure to use the hashtag AWAD visits and tag at Women Art Dealers, at Collect Art Fair, at Cynthia Corbett Gallery, at Young Masters Art Prize, at roop.and.form. But you don't need to remember that because Andrea is very kindly sharing that. Last but not least, be sure to visit what's happening at the fair online as well. That's www.craftscouncil.org.uk/collect-art-fair. And again, that's being shared. Without further ado, I'm going to hand straight over to Danny to take us through, to introduce our two members who are exhibiting, and enjoy this in conversation. Let it inspire you and think about your own shows and how you might collaborate with these individuals as well. As we know, AWAD was founded on collaborating with our businesses. So over to you, Danny. Thanks, everyone. Have fun.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks very much. So I'm delighted to be here this evening, and we're very, very lucky, as Susan says, to be talking to a couple of really busy gallerists just before they're about to come on site at a fair. So they have a lot of different things going on. There's lots of fun on logistics, but actually what they really want to do is talk to you about what all of the hard work that's culminating in next week and live at the fair. So you've had a bit of an intro from Susan, and I want to kind of go a bit deeper in terms of who we have with Verena and Cynthia, and just briefly in terms of what I do. So yes, first of all, I'm the market consultant for Collect. I've had very many years with the fair, right from the launch back at the V&A. And one of my favorite things is the people that make up the fair. You know, the people behind it and the whole kind of community of people that come together and working particularly in contemporary. But I want to get into some of the detail, and first of all, if we could cite ourselves, we're in lots of different locations around the place. Cynthia, can I start with you? And I'm not sure, Andrea, if you're able to facilitate to throw a spotlight on Cynthia and say hello, and also just where you are and what's in the background, because you've got some beautiful pieces there.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Daniela. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, AWAD. Thank you, Collect. I'm sitting in my dining room at the moment with my gorgeous yellow walls, and behind me, I'm very fortunate to have artwork that is going to be part of the Collect Fair in our overall curation. But most of the art that is going to be at Collect is currently in boxes with the shipper at the moment. But I'm very fortunate to have behind me some beautiful embroidery pieces by award-winning artist Matt Smith, British-Irish artist, as well as, I don't know if you can see, there's a few Parion pieces as well. One is on the wall because it is fit directly in the wall. And the other one is on a sconce. Next to, on the sconce, is a gorgeous little piece by Barnaby Barford that is in my collection. I was fortunate enough to be able to buy that at the charity event that he was doing called Tower of Babel a few years ago at the V&A. And also there's a gorgeous little oil painting on panel that I'm very happy to say is by one of our former executive directors of Young Masters and judge, Daisy McMullen, who also happens to be an artist. So that's a little bit of show and tell for now.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm so happy to see that work by Daisy, because knowing the different people that you brought together, and yeah, I've been following her avidly on Instagram since she made sort of big new launch with her own work. Varuna, can we throw a spotlight on you, because you very kindly got a few pieces, a little taste, and they're not coming to the fair because they're all packed and ready to go, but you've got a bit of an example. Can we have a little look and say hello?
Hi, it's so nice to see everyone, and just so excited about coming back to collect, and just a week to go. So as you said, Danny, everything's in boxes. We pulled out a few bits and bobs that were easily accessible, and I know the packing's not going to be crazy after. At the bottom shelf is work by Melissa and Louis, who are Mexican artists, and we've shown them before at Collect last year. Their approach to techniques and how they respond to their material is extremely interesting, and the organic shapes, I think, it immediately you feel like connecting to the work. But I'll tell you more about them when we get in the middle shelf. We've got Anne Butler's work called Civic Series, and Anna Walters was also done. We've shown her last year as well, and her work I find absolutely interesting, just because of her play with unfunctionality and the materials that she mixes together. It's just a very interesting. Of course, Kuniko right at the top, who we also showing. We do have in total 14 artists who will be part of us. So this is a real quick snapshot of what is coming, and I am very excited about the work that we'll be bringing over. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And thank you very much both for having something beautiful to show whilst you're with us. It'd be brilliant to look at you as galleries and how you work. I think some of the people on the call might know what you do, but if it's possible, I'd like to go a step back a bit and look at sort of where you've come from in terms of why you became a gallery dealer, because we're going to obviously look at what you're doing for next week, which is fab. Because what I love about the combination of the two of you is that what I know of, you come from quite different starting points, and I think that's really exciting. And that really represents what galleries are like. They're very different animals. Cynthia, can I start with you? I think a lot of people know a bit about your background, but what on earth made you want to be a galleryist?
I think I'm a bit crazy. Of course, but I started as an international economist. I trained as a diplomat in Boston. I'm originally from Massachusetts. By way of New York City, I came to London, but I'd always had a passion for art history, maybe because of my Italian, partly probably because of my Italian American background. I was always going to museums and old churches and really loved that. So when I decided, because of family commitments, to change my career, I went and did a postgrad in art history. And after a period of time, felt that I was getting very, very involved and passionate about contemporary artists, and particularly emerging artists that, had a bit of art historical links. And so initially I launched the Mccover Gallery in 2004, and then in 2009, expanded that to a not-for-profit independent entity called Young Masters. But what was important for me, having been such an internationalist, is that I wanted to be on an international stage with the artists that I was trying to represent and nurture and promote. And I knew I couldn't afford the capital expenditure and the amount of money it would cost to be in Mayfair, St. James, or central London, where, you know, the international community tended to be. And I was fortunate that we had, we live in part of an old convent that has a lot of walls and a lot of light. So I thought, my model started in 2004 of being a home gallery, but a home gallery that constantly was doing an exhibition program wherever I thought people would be, whether that be the city of London, whether that be the Lower East Side of New York, whether that be Mayfair. And then gradually, when I started to make some income, I decided to do the art fairs so that I could bring my emerging artists to an audience and hopefully expand their notoriety and collector base, which is exactly what I did. So that's kind of me in a nutshell so far.
I love the idea of summarizing all the years and the the work that goes in a few moments. But, you know, it's good to have a snapshot. And I really like that you come from, you know, from a particular background and thinking, because, you know, it's really different to Varuna. You've studied differently. You've actually studied curation, and you were quite new to me. I did a bit of homework on you when you made an application to collect, I'm afraid. I did my research. Could you tell us a bit about what made you want to be a galleryist? And you both share sort of some interest in curation, which we're about to look at. But Varuna, tell us more.
I think, like Cynthia said, she's a bit mad. Mine came from naivety. I think I thought I was going to, you know, I still am. I keep saying this. I'm doing this because this is fun. I don't think of myself as a gallerist. I think of myself as a collaborator, because it is all about collaborating, whether it is with your community, whether it's with the artists, makers, across industries. So I don't view myself as purely as a art galleryist. I think what we provide is a very different platform. How we showcase is a very different platform. But having said that, I think it comes from where you said, Danny, because it comes from the academia side of it, where it's all about research. It's the way, and I think just being very authentic to who I am as a person, and I like research, and I like getting deep into how things are made, how things are done, what are the thought process behind it, I think, and it kind of translates to Roop and Form. When I set up Roop and Form, as the name suggests, a Roop is a Sanskrit word for form, which really means it could be an internal spiritual form, it could be the outer form, very much so with objects and craft. And my idea was to look at artists, very much like Cynthia. I've lived in different parts of the world, and that living in different parts of the world changes your perspective, and you start seeing it very differently. And I just wanted to work with artists across different genres, whether they're starting out or mid-career, and from different backgrounds. And here we are, still enjoying it, so that's good.
Thank you.
Still naive.
but I like that naivety. I like, I don't know, let's call it being open-minded.
I'll take that.
But with the international view, and that's something I really love. And it's, as you say, in terms of the both of you, I think what you share is that level of integrity in terms of what you're trying to convey. And that's what's great about having this conversation now is, you know, we're about to visit the busyness of an art fair, but actually there's hundreds of artists that collect, and you guys are focusing in, you know, and actually you're going to be next door neighbors, aren't you, in specific selections at the fair. And, you know, it's your hard job to sort of create a narrative around the selection that you've made, and of course give justice to their individual stories. So I really want to dive in to look at what you guys have got behind your selections at the fair, but I also want to just remind us where we're about to go. So I want to share a little video, if that's okay, and just dive into Somerset House. have a little look at the rooms. Some of you will be very familiar with it, which is fab. We're all very, very excited about getting back in there next week. And then I'm going to say a very brief thing about what we ask our galleries to do, because we like them to work hard. And then I'm going to hand over to Cynthia first, and then Varuna. We've got some PowerPoints for you. Let me see if I can share a cute little video from 2020. It's only half a minute, don't worry, I'll let it run. Thank you very much.
So nice.
For humouring me. I wanted to get in those halls.
Not at all. I think it's so nice to view this because it feels like yesterday. It's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm just gets excited every time I see that. It's so nice. Hopefully the sun's back too, right?
Say again?
Hopefully the sun's back too.
Yeah, well, this is obviously, as event planners, we have put an application in for some excellent sunshine as well. Yeah, because the light from those windows, multiple windows at Somerset House is one of the beautiful contexts. And you guys are lucky in terms of your location, in terms of where that light's coming in. Okay, I'm going to have a very brief overview.
Not complaining.
No, I bet. What we ask from our galleries at the fair, we have an advisory committee that we consult, and they have a variety of different specialisms combined. We ask for galleries making an application to the fair to put together a bit about their gallery. You know, we'd like to have new galleries, a little bit of the history of the gallery. Really, the selection is based on the artist list, of which we like to have some new names in there, some established as well. And then what we really focus on is the bit that we're about to hear from these guys, which is, what is your curation? How have you brought these people together? What are the themes? Is it the narrative behind the work? Is it a material-based dialogue? What is it? And it can be many different things. And so we have quite a lot of material that we ask from our galleries. They put this forward. A lot of it is speculative. So we really, because of course you're looking at examples of work for often things which we made entirely new for the fair, which is something we encourage. So it's the confidence from the galleries, which is something that we are convinced by. So let's have a little look at that. Cynthia, may I pass to you first, and then Varuna. You've both very kindly prepared some PowerPoint information, which takes us a bit behind your selections, the artists, and what pulls them together. Thank you.
Here we go. It worked. It's on, right? It's all good. You can see the start of the collect PowerPoint. So what I thought I would do is run through a bit of what we've selected for this curation. And as Daniela said, some of the artists are new and are debuting at Collect, and some of the artists are debuting with us at Collect, and then some artists have been showing at Collect before. So we're starting with a beautiful piece by Matt Smith, who won, I'm very happy to say, he won the inaugural Young Masters Males Grand Ceramic Prize in 2014, which is part of the story that led me to Collect in the first place, because Daniela Wells, full disclosure, was one of the judges of that first initiative, the first edition of the ceramic prize, and quickly asked me why I wasn't doing Collect in 2015. And that started our relationship. So it's really exciting to be bringing Matt Smith back yet again to Collect. And in 2020, Matt was also the winner, the recipient of the first Brookfield's Art Award, which which afforded an artist an opportunity to have an exhibition and also for Crafts Council to buy some artwork. So that was really great. So we're seeing, and all the work that we are going to be showing of Matt Smith in this edition of Collect is brand new to the fair. So, and it will be a mix of Parian work and textiles. And here's the list. The next slide is the list of the artists that we are representing at Collect. Matt Smith is there. We represent Matt Smith now as a gallery internationally. Clary Reese is an American artist who we have been working with since 2005. Amy Hughes is also an alumni of the Young Masters Art Award in 2014, and she has done new work for this edition of the fair. Crystal Latimer is an Costa Rican American artist who is making her debut at Collect, and she was also 2019 Young Master finalist. Freya Bramble Carter is making her debut. She's a ceramicist. She's making her debut with us at Collect, but I believe she has shown one time before, and she is bringing new work. It's very exciting. I'll show you when I show the slide. New work from 2 different series. Albert Montserrat, also a Young Master alumni from Spain. We'll be showing some gorgeous pots of his ceramicist. Amanda Mccover is a Canadian artist who won 2nd prize in our Young Master Award in 2019 and also won the Emerging Women's Prize. And her work is installation, and we'll be looking at that in a minute. And then Emily Taylor, who is a British ceramicist from Sheffield, who won last year's 2021 Focus on the Female Award that we did basically coming out of lockdown. So it's a wide ranging group, and 6 of the artists happen to be women. So it's very interesting, that we're being hosted today by AWAD. So let's look at Matt. So these are pieces that you see here. This is called the Neoclassical Platter that will be debuting at the fair. This is Black Parian and porcelain. There's an installation photo that you can see, and this was from our first showing at Somerset House in 2020, and a lot of the pieces that you're seeing in that photo went both to the Brookfields Prize Award and also to the V&A, quite a few of those pieces. And then below it is the lute player, which is an unpicked embroidery by Matt that we're going to be showing. And then I'll bring you to, and here's Amanda Mccover. This installation is, the entire installation is 700 individually made poppies that are made by her by hand. They're embroidered. It's an installation. We don't know exactly, full disclosure, how it's going to look exactly at Somerset House, because of course it's a listed building and it has its own challenges, but we do have a window that we think in front of it is going to be incredible, and hopefully people will be able to walk through it. And this is her debut at Collect, so we're very, very excited about this. The next artist is Clary Reese, who we did show in 2020 at Somerset House, and Clary's work is very, very exciting. This is an installation of resin pieces of petri dishes, and the petri dishes are created from real petri dishes, and a mix of pure pigment, acrylic, a special material called epoxy polymer, which is like a liquid plastic, and then secret ingredients that the artist uses. And there'll be a number of her installations at Collect in different formations. So very, very exciting. Her work is in many, many collections, including the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children, Microsoft, and Google, just to name a few. But she is in a lot of medical organizations and venues because her work is all based on science. So this is like, she is going under the microscope. She looks when she does her artwork. Then we have lovely Amy Hughes. And those two pieces that you can see on her right, and including the detail, they will be they are going to be debuted at Collect, and we're extremely excited about that. Amy is an incredible artist, so hardworking, so talented, and she had been an artist in residence at the V&A, and we just debuted Amy's work in Miami in December, along with Matt Smith, and they both were extremely well received. So very excited about this. Then we've got the lovely Freya Bramble Carter, and what you're seeing here, we haven't actually physically seen the pieces on the left and on the bottom right yet, but this is as a result of Freya's work that she has done in the Bahamas, and she's only just returned with these amazing pieces. And this is a special clay that she developed with a colleague in the Bahamas, and which then sat for 3 years. And she went back last year to create these incredible pieces. So we're very, very excited about this, you can imagine. And this is Albert, and there's Albert busy in his studio with his the creation of his incredible moon jars. And he's really known for the invention of a lot of the glazes that he makes. I'm particularly not that technical, but apparently people go crazy over his glazes. It's not surprising. But these pots are extremely heavy, so I have to have a lot of help to carry them. But I'm very excited about this. It's called the Golden Jar. And this is Emily Taylor in her studio in Sheffield. And Emily's work is very political, very beautiful, and it's a lot about the youth and young offenders that she has worked with as part of a big project in the north of England, and they are her models. And then she does a narrative about where they live and creates these incredible pieces inspired by a lot of the young people that she's actually meeting. So we will be having a series of those debuting next week. And this artist I'm very, very excited about, Crystal Latimer. She is very excited. She's a Costa Rican American artist from Pennsylvania, and she calls these keepsakes. And we will be getting 4 of these keepsakes sent there. I think they've already arrived, so I'm very excited about that. And there's so many multimedia materials in this, and a lot of thread and embroidery and gold leaf and all kinds of things. So very excited. So I hope I didn't go too over my time, but
not bad at all, Cynthia. I think you might be precisely on 10 minutes. It's difficult when
okay, well, great. That was my time. Yes,
exactly. Whistle stop tour, but it's difficult to do individual artists justice when they're all such layered pieces. It's exciting to see. I mean, obviously within your selection, I know some of those artists really well now through you and your promotion, but the fact that you've got newcomers to the fair too, it'll be this sort of, it's certainly a debut at the fair. And of course the installation works, which is, well, we're really excited that, you and Varuna have gone that extra mile to put installation works within within the context of a fair to really inspire how people might use them, which in entirely different environments. So it's a treat for the exhibition in its own right, but it's really exciting to see that. Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to stop my share now.
Thank you. And I would love to get straight into Varuna and your behind the scenes, and I hope that we can have a tiny window for questions. If everyone's thinking of any queries, they might have specific things about specific pieces, do pop them in the chat. We'd be delighted to have a moment to answer them. Varuna, you've kindly got a little taste of what we'll be seeing next.
I do. First of all, I'm really excited about what's coming next door to me. Really excited about that. I need to make this full screen, don't I? Sorry. Oh.
Yeah, that's great. The slide show, I think, normally does it, and then you can.
Thank you.
There we go, and then you can chat through.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Is it good? Is it clear?
Perfect.
Oh, awesome. For Collect this year, this is our third year that we're coming in. The first year, our exhibition was called A Man About Waste, and it was a lot around sustainability and a fun take on how artists work with sustainable and recycled material, which is in a big way Rupin Form's ethos. We try and work with, though we don't try to harp on about the sustainability aspect of the materials, but that's something that we is an underlying issue that we're always looking at. This last year that we were here, we did meditation material, which was all about materiality and how artists were spending more time with the lockdown that had come in. So Memories Live Here was almost like a natural evolution to meditation in material, as the time spent away in lockdowns made us all very pensive and look much more into ourselves. So the conversation here was really about memories that were real, some confabulated, things that we attribute to memories but are more cultural, and it could be a part of a history rather than something that exists. So it's a very wide look at memories, but I'm very excited because we have a really great mix of artists here. We have Melissa and Louis, who are Mexican and work with ceramics, and I showed your work earlier, and their work is really interesting. I want to run you through as we show it. There's Anne Butler with ceramics, who we have worked with before, and she works with Parian porcelain. There's Eva, who's a jeweler with a background in engineering. So it's very sculptural work that she brings to the table. Bridget, who's all about repair making, and it's a very interesting take on how a new breed of these makers are evolving, who are looking at repair making and looking at sustainability from a very different aspect, looking at the everyday and turning that into craft and art and really bringing notice and spotlight into it. Hannah Robry, who's a wood and paper sculptor. Kuniko, who works with a Japanese paper and laser cut, which is then painted with this Japanese lacquer. Claire Mallet, who is a silversmith and metal, and again works around sustainability. Naomi, who we've shown at Collect as well at the Biennale earlier last year, who works with wood and is just constantly reworking her thoughts and ideas and just techniques. Archana with textile, but also with paper. It's a very interesting look at how she embroiders with paper. Zoe, who is a ceramist. Annette, beeswax. Hannah Walters, who does ceramics, and Isabel, who's coming in to do an installation around. So I'm going to quickly run you through, but it's an interesting mix of materials. It's just even within I cannot put it down to that there's only one materiality going. It's going to be a feast, I think. This is Claire Mallett's work, and her work is called Place and Time. She's created 3 of these sculptural bowls. And the idea of creating, so each piece is named after the place she picked up these pebbles from, or these stones. And as you know, with each work, each stone, there's a lot of ecological and years of memory that's gone into creating that shape. And she's taken those shapes and then has almost communicated and created shapes on it. So each one is about a particular place. The place, where she picked up that piece has been engraved into the silver. So you can go and find exactly where she would have ideally picked up that piece of pebble. And I think it's a very interesting take on something, because bowls is one of the oldest existing vessel a human ever created. Like the oldest urns that you would find is a form of a bowl. So they not only hold memories in so many ways, but also the oldest way of existence we know, because that was probably the oldest urns created was in that shape. Very excited about her 3 sculptures coming to us. This is Annette, one of the only beeswax artists that we are aware of. This is called passion fruit, but let me remember that name because it's in Latin. Caruela. No, Annette would not be happy with my pronunciation, I'm very sure. She's created 3 sculptures which for the first time will sit on the wall. They're called Aliens, and she has tied up with a curator from the Welsh National Herbarium, who's also the curator of the vascular plants. And these are, if you see in the middle, that piece is the work that she has based her work on. It's almost like bringing the old into the new, and what they would look like in real life now, because these are pressed flowers. This particular one was collected by J.W. Davies in 1956. And they're called aliens because this particular plant came from South America and brought to Wales to change the look and feel of gardens and bring the beauty into it. So the reason the series is called Aliens is because how we cross populate plants across different countries and how it becomes a part of that narrative. But really, really excited about her work. This is Naomi, and her work is based on clouds and how clouds exist but also disappear, and just like memories do. And these are steam bent woodwork that work together as an installation, but also can be bought separately. But they are about her relating to her landscape. She lives in gorgeous Scotland, so she relates to the moving nature around her a lot. And I think these create this amazing shadows, and they have these dimensions, and it almost has no beginning and no end. So it's a very interesting, I'm very excited about this one purely because it's going to take up our wall that stands between me and Cynthia's, and this is going to take up that area. With Anne Butler, who works with Parian, and again, extremely excited about this work because she has worked, this is called Shift and Stack, and it's based from a series called Objects of Time. It's about, again, based on memories, and these are layered porcelain and built. So though I have the work, Anne's coming down to actually put it together for us on the day of install, and they're exquisite. So it's about it's about looking at an object, but also technically so sound and so clever, and even indents. Like you can see if you see the bar right at the bottom, what we call the space bar, you can see the curvature of it. So it's almost mimicking natural objects, but giving it that ghost-like feel to it. So it's again, and I think one of the things that she'd done earlier, which also is with the museum in Ireland, is with it's like a sewing machine. I forget the name, but it's a very interesting conversation about memories through this material. This is Hannah Walters. It's called the Forgotten Lock series, and to the right is where her inspiration comes from, the architecture of Wales and Cardiff. The Forgotten Locks is about the canals that were closed down and the locks that exist and been forgotten and been shut down. So she's almost recreating them. Her urns are all about being non-functional but beautiful, and she mixes Parian porcelain and crank clay. So it's a very interesting combination of materials. There's a fun aspect to it, but they're also very detailed. They're almost 360 in view. The series is beyond beautiful. I keep saying them, but they're all really exciting works to be showing. Archana Pathak, who we also showed last year, and she was shortlisted for the Brookfields Awards, is continuing her series around reimagined landscapes, and these called Memories of Being, and they're called To Rise, Flow, Set and Be, and it's almost mimicking day and night and how memories go through, how light hits through life. She works with old maps, so it's not textile that she's sewing on, she's working with old maps, and they are very intricate, and they are something to be really seen in real, because they almost come out of the canvas. Then we have Zoe, who's coming the first time with us. These are carbonized textures, porcelain, which is about books. And this, interestingly, the book is also an encyclopedia of flowers. So I think there's a lot of that theme somehow going around within our makers, or perhaps me. We have Kunika, who's also shown with us before. I love the name. It's called Un, and those are the first and the last letters of Japanese text, but also it means to breathe in and breathe out. And I think they really relate beautifully in just the way she's created these forms. Melissa and Louis, I spoke to you briefly about. They've created these objects which are about almost like, if you say ceramic or clay, the idea that it is meant to break and then it goes away. But they have come up with technique to let it live beyond. So these cracks can be mended and you can continue reusing, and they'll be doing a little installation for us with these pieces. What I like about these pieces is that they have a memory of its own. If they crack and create these dips and dives, and those creases become a memory, but you can keep reusing them because they're not actually going to break. Then we have Hannah Lovely, who's done these with her wood. She's made these a gorgeous little camera with the memory of her grandfather and how he always took pictures, and how taking pictures and videography of film is such a big part of their work. And then we have Eva's work, who I'm again really interested about. I love, one of my favorite questions, always asking people guess the material. Considering everyone else here is muted, this is of acrylic, and she's created these 4 pearls that you put together and they look like you're looking at pearls, but that doesn't actually exist. So they're sculptures that you can play with, almost like dominoes, but these pearls don't really exist, but it's just her absolute genius to create these. And we have another installation by Isabel Dodd, who creates these beautiful textile flowers, which are part imagined, part taken from her life around her. It's called Forever, and she does a lot of work with foraged plants and flowers, and that's what she will be bringing to the table with us the coming week. All together, I think I don't think so I have enough words. I am still in the process in my own head, bringing this all together. I'm very excited about how it's going to look, but each idea, each work is impeccable. But thank you for the time, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to get to share this.
Thank you, Varuna. It's superb to have that background. It really is. Thank you. And you know, it's interesting to see some of the very instant visible connections in terms of memory, and then some things which are considerably more subtle and layered, and the same Cynthia, in terms of sort of, you know, the visual impact you get from the Petri dishes, and then understanding some of the background as to what she's comfortable to reveal and not reveal of her processes. But you know, you guys have the challenge of trying to convey these stories to what they're comfortable to do.
We do them justice, because I've got some amazing artists. I think I was telling them this, their work is, I genuinely feel this, the work that we're taking is so exciting and so amazing that I could literally just put it on the floor and it'll still look great. I don't have to do anything.
You're not allowed to do that, Verena.
No, you're not.
That's against the rules. We've slightly overrun with time, and apologies for everybody. But we've got a small window here. The lovely colleagues have popped in the URLs for Collect to have a look at the sort of fuller, the bigger picture. We have a number of galleries curating in the rooms of Somerset House. We also have a number of galleries that are showing online as well. So it's a truly hybrid fair. We have fantastic Collect Open projects, which are artists that have made really specific projects in terms of sort of pushing their work, very, very different work. And they've had, they actually made these projects for 2021. They've been sort of percolating and developing now for quite a while. So come and investigate those too. And we have other installations as well as the installations from these guys too. So there's a huge amount to see. If anyone had a burning question, we'd be delighted to hear it. If not, we'd be delighted to welcome you at the fair next week. So let me know. I don't know, Andrea, whether you had any burning questions from this, or whether you're sated and we're happy to say look online and then come to Somerset House.
Yeah, I think it's look online and definitely come to Somerset House, because from what these ladies have presented today, it looks like a fabulous selection of works that we'll be showing. So thank you everyone for attending. It's been really wonderful having you both, Varuna and Cynthia. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you for just having us and letting us do this. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Danny.
All the best to the fair.
It's a great pleasure, exactly. And thanks for having the platform, and come and chat to the amazing galleries that we have at Collect. We look forward to seeing you next week. All the best, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.